What's up, people? How's it going? Welcome to my channel and welcome to another video. Now I know it's been 3 weeks since I last posted, and in my previous video I was talking about making changes, getting new ideas, etc, etc, but somehow it didn't pan out. And the reason for that is, I was constantly traveling for the past 3 weeks. And no matter how hard I tried at these places, where I had to go, due to work, I couldn't, rent out a vehicle of any sort to do this. I mean, I took my entire gear and all, and I was hoping at least some of the places that I went to were like, really scenic with, a lot of twisties, etc. But as luck would have it, I couldn't, really rent out any sort of transportation, so I wasn't able to do that. And I also noticed that, whenever changes are planned, they either take off or, they just fall apart, and that's what has happened this time around. I mean, I thought, somehow, I thought I got into the swing of things. I understood how to do this with reasonable amount of competency, but somehow as I was thinking of expanding the ideas, etc, etc, the thing just fell apart. But anyway, here I am, and sure as hell I don't want to give up, so I might as well take a stab at it and try and plan and see what I can do. I mean, I know a lot of the circumstances were beyond my control, etc, etc, and most of the places that I went to, it was pouring cats and dogs. But it being what it is, I still want to have a contingency plan, so that when I'm predisposed with something to do with my work or life in general, I still have something to share with you guys. So that's what I was mulling over as I was going through my day and contemplating what to do about it. And I don't want to make these kind of vlogs where I'm taking stock of situation. I mean, I think I've made videos of this sort where I'm sort of taking stock and seeing what to do up ahead. I don't want to do that way too often because it's repetitive, and ideally I would like to avoid that. So do let me know if you guys have some ideas. I'm open to suggestions as always, so do let me know. So talking about changes, I think the neighboring two countries to India are going through strife. I mean, there is a gigantic humanitarian crisis unfolding. I don't want to look at it through optics of political sciences or etc, etc, but it is something that's of grave concern. One being Afghanistan, where after nearly 2 decades of occupancy by the American forces, there has been complete takeover of the country by the Taliban. And we all know how the people suffered the last time around when these guys were running the show in that part of the world. So I think a lot of countries, especially those that are part of NATO, are doing lip service by expressing concerns about human rights, etc., etc. But one doesn't really see any sort of concrete action translating into some tangible outcome on the ground. Strictly speaking, it's a shame, really. Somehow after 20 years of dependency on foreign aid, they have been just the people of Afghanistan, somehow I feel have been just thrown to the wolves. I mean, they are left to fend for themselves. I mean, all man, woman, child, I don't think anybody is gonna be spared of the consequences of these guys coming back and running the show. So I think there would be a lot of pain and suffering for many of the people in that part of the world. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how people feel about it. I mean, I somehow feel many of the countries that participated in occupancy or rebuilding of that particular nation are somewhat responsible for that, responsible for where they are at the moment. But when countries which boast of multi-trillion-dollar companies as a part of their ecosystem act as if they're helpless, then I don't know what's gonna happen. So let's keep an eye for them. I mean, that's the least we can do, and see if something can be done in whatever capacity one can do. And on the other side, we have the unfolding crisis in Sri Lanka. I mean, they ran out of their foreign reserves. They're short of food. The government has declared an emergency. I mean, Sri Lanka, I think, is one of the most scenic places in the world. I mean, yes, they went through a lot recently, but they were doing well. But somehow the pandemic and collapse of their primary revenue generating industry, which was tourism, I think has been very hard on them. I think the IMF has given them somewhere around $800 million or so to tide over the crisis. But what is $800 million when you have crooked politicians and inept administrators running the show? So it's a tragedy. I mean, in addition to severe depletion of foreign reserves, they also ill-timed their migration to organic farming. So I think it's quite ill-advised, because one has to do their homework when you want to replace decades of practices which has traditionally given them great dividends. But somehow they fail to do so. I mean, just by stopping utilization of traditional fertilizers, pesticides, etc., and switching to organic or natural sources for nutrients, won't always give you the desired results. But as luck would have it, they chose to do that. And so having said all that, I'm not quite sure how things will pan out for the Sri Lankans, but in the intermittent there is going to be a lot of pain and suffering. So I wish them all the luck in the world, and I hope they get through. So do let me know what your thoughts are on the raging crisis at both Afghanistan and Sri Lanka. So with these thoughts, I'll be signing off from today's video. I hope to catch you guys in the next one really soon, unlike the previous video. So with that, I'll be signing off. Peace out.